everybody, welcome back to Baby Reads Books. I've decided to do a readathon, kind of like a sprint for Saturday and Sunday. It is Thanksgiving weekend, but we are not as busy as I thought we were going to be. Some things fell through, and now my partner is installing a washer, and so I am just kind of sitting here like not needed as much as I thought I would be. So I'm going to be doing a readathon from Saturday, that's today, at 2:30, and it's going to go until 8:30 on Sunday, so that's 30 hours. I do intend on falling asleep a ton, because that's just what happens. Every time I do a readathon, I end up falling asleep, and I'm like, well, there was a 2-hour nap, so I think I need a little bit more than just 24 hours. So I do think that 8:30 on a Sunday is still an appropriate time to be cutting it off. So I'll be sharing with you guys what I'm reading and hopefully getting that TBR down for November. I look forward to it. Here we go. I am going to be rolling a dice for each book to see how many chapters I have to read between each check-in and also before I take breaks. So I need to read however X amount, and I will be using a 6-sided dice right now. I may add more later on depending, like if I'm reading through the night, might as well go for 11 chapters, right? But for right now, the 6-sided dice. So the first book up is Kiss of Sight, because we have a tour date for Kiss of Sight and Dragon's Blood, both by Jane Apatova, and those are due on the 28th, which is coming up. And normally I would have had these books read long before. I did read half of Kiss of Sight before now, but since they are touring for Dragon's Blood, I wanted to be fresh and have brand new perspectives on both books. So those will be the first up, and then we will talk about those. So Kiss of Sight, and we're going to go ahead and roll and see how many chapters that we need to read. I am currently on chapter 11, and it's called Delicious Little Cherry. So we'll see which chapter I need to read to. So in rolling a 5, I need to read 5 chapters of Kiss of Sight before either switching a book or moving on to another book or getting a snack or taking a break or checking in with you guys. So we are currently on chapter 11, Delicious Little Cherry, and I need to read to the end of chapter 16. So chapter 16 is called Goodbyes, and we'll be reading to the very beginning of chapter 17, which is Veneer. So to chapter 16, which is Goodbyes, from Delicious Little Cherry on Kiss of Sight. So I will be checking in with you guys in 5 chapters. We'll see how that goes. All right, wish me luck. So we've arrived at 7:30 p.m. We have arrived at chapter 12, which is an additional chapter more. So I actually read 6 chapters, and chapter 12 is called Veneer, and that is of The Kiss of Sight by Jane Apatova. That is the book we're reading, is Kiss of Sight. We're at chapter 12, and it's 7:30, and so far it is a very much a BDSM romance, I would say. However, so the main character, she has the Kiss of Sight, which is she kisses somebody and she gets a vision, or they get a vision, or both. So when she kisses this king, it turns out that like she sees a vision of them being married, and then later on she sees a vision that they're going to have a baby, and at first he doesn't believe her, and now he does, but he doesn't step forward and like try and claim her in any way, besides when some guy at a party like tries to be inappropriate, like an essay kind of situation. That doesn't happen, but then he feels threatened, and then all of a sudden he comes forward. But it's interesting how he decides to come forward, because he has mistresses, right? So in her mind, she's like, oh, I'm going to marry him, I'm going to have a baby. Like, her visions, they seem like they'd be a beautiful story. But in real life, he's a very stern, he needs control all the time, and he has mistresses, 2 mistresses at the time, and he just tries to throw her in with his mistresses, like, you're going to play BDSM style, like daddy dom little girl kind of thing, like master slave kind of situation. And she's like, no, like, I'm a princess, like, you can't treat me that way. And they have a minute where like there's a little scuffle. I'm not sure if they were training or which, but their dragons end up fighting too. And then when they go to part ways, she's just like, that's it, I'm leaving. Like, he's playing Mr. like, I'm not gonna break first, like, I'm tough. And she's like, forget you, I'll see you whenever those visions are supposed to come true, like, have a great time away from me. So now we're gonna see what happens when they go their separate ways, and how and if they find their way back to each other. Now I'm going to leave that up to your imagination and encourage you to read. This book, I would already say, just from the part that I have read, which I would say is probably about 30-40% by now, there is spice, y'all. Like spice, 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 spice. And if you like kind of that more like reward punishment kind of situation dynamic, like this would be for you, because that is the dynamic that he has with his mistresses at the time that this story takes place. And I cannot say that I hated it. I didn't hate it. And he's not really a cruel person. It's not like he's a sadist about it. But definitely, like, there's rules that have to be followed. There's punishments that are followed through. And I get why she would be like, no, I'm not doing it. But at the same time, it's also like, dang, like, it's odd that he has such a dark side. And she's had such this idealist, like, she really idealized him. And then the reality is so much different than what we think he's going to be like. You can hear my dog snoring in the background. So I have 9 chapters left for Kiss of Sight. I'm going to go ahead and finish the 9 chapters tonight, and I will let you guys know about that in the morning. I am going to do a roll, the dice, and that will be how many chapters of the second book, Dragon's Blood, I have to read before I can go to bed tonight. And I will either film the catch-up on the Kiss of Sight when I finish it in the review, and then tell you how far I get into Dragon's Blood this evening, or I will check in with you guys first thing in the morning when I wake up. It's just with everybody going to bed around here, it's going to be kind of hard to talk loud enough to actually record anything. So I'm looking forward to talk to you guys in the morning. Here's the next roll. This one's for Dragon's Blood, and I'll have the review for Kiss of Sight up tomorrow morning. Everybody checking in. It's Sunday afternoon, 3:15. I did not wake up at 3:15. I woke up around 7, but I had gone to bed last night only reading the Kiss of Sight, so I arrived at chapter 8 of the second book, Dragon's Blood, now, and I've written the review for Kiss of Sight, so I'll be going and rolling to see how many more chapters of Dragon's Blood before I can check in. This book does not publish until the 29th, so I can't give you any spoilers. My kids are slamming doors. So I'll check in with you guys after we roll the dice and I read that many pages, okay? Okay, so I rolled a 4, so from finishing chapter 7, arrived at chapter 8, I will be reading until the arrival of chapter 12, so 4 chapters. This book in total, the ARC copy that I have, has 26 chapters. So this is a pre-read that I have, this Dragon's Blood by Jane Porter. And it comes out, it is published actually the 29th, so it'll publish this Tuesday. So I'm not going to share anything about any quotes or anything inside the book until publishing day, and then I can share all that with you guys afterwards. But since it is an advanced reader copy, I cannot share that with you, but I can share my opinions in my review once I finish reading it. So I'll still check in and kind of give you my opinions. I just can't share any of the plot or any of the storyline with you right now. Charge cord is very short, so we're just gonna have to lead in like this. But I gave it a 4 on 4 stars, and I give it 4 on spice. The first third of the book is pretty much spice. Like the author really gives time to get to fall in love and get to know the main characters in this particular book. They are the main love attraction, these two, and it's a very like enemies to lovers, like hate and love relationship, like hot cold. But it is cute to watch like how the dynamic is supposed to play out, how they're supposed to mark each other, how these dragon-blooded people are living their lives and how they bond with each other, and like the chances of their children being the way that they are, like. And then she starts painting towards the end like a really beautiful picture of the society and the world that they live in, and that it's really just full of all these secrets that nobody else is really aware of. And I really think that it is enjoyable for people who love kind of the spicier romances, and also for people who love fantasy. Okay guys, so I just finished Dragon Blood, the second one by Jane Apatova. That's the second one in the series. So the first one was Kiss of Sight. We just rated that one 4 stars. And then I just finished Dragon's Blood. That's the second book in the series. And oh my goodness, it was like everything leveled up. It really felt like, I can't give too much detail because the book comes out on the 29th. That's Tuesday. Today is Sunday. But I didn't want to say, I really felt like it had all of the romantic and spice aspects as the first book did, the same. but she definitely added more social and political structure and intrigue and plot twists in that area to the second book. So I really felt like it was like, here, get used to the spice and the romance. And then she's like, okay, here's the same amount of spice and romance, but then let's add all of this extra layer. So I really enjoyed that, and I'm waiting to see what book 3 is, if she keeps on that trend of adding. What more could she add to make it so much more complex? Because that seems to be her style of writing from what I can see out of the 2 books. And I absolutely... So I ended up giving this book actually 5 stars, and it ended up getting 3 on the spice. I did see it was a little bit less spicy than the first book, but I gave it 5 stars because it definitely had the political intrigue, all of the layers that you would want. It felt more balanced to me overall, and I didn't mind that it was a little less spicy because I felt like it gave more substance to the story the second time around. The second book definitely did. So that's what I thought. 5 stars for this one, 4 stars for the first one, and I can't wait to see what else she writes. Thank you so much for the opportunity to read the book, as this was part of a tour hosted by Katie and Bray PA on Instagram. So thank you to the book tour for the e-copy of both Kiss of Sight and Dragon Blood by Jane Apatova for my honest review. It is only 5:30 here, and I was going to go until 8:30. I still am, so I'm still going to do the other 2.5 hours with another book, but I'm going to wrap up this video vlog with the 2 Kiss of Sight and Dragon's Blood reviews. They both first got the 4 and 4 for stars, 4 for spice for Kiss of Sight, and then Dragon's Blood had 3 for spice and 5 on the stars. So I did really enjoy it. Thank you, Katie and Bray PA and the author Jane Apatova for the opportunity to read these books, and I look forward to the release of the Dragon's Blood second book on the 29th of November, which is Tuesday. So thank you all for reading with me this weekend. I'll be putting out a mini blog for the last 2.5 hours of this readathon. See you guys later on in the week on Tuesday when we talk about the TBR and start setting up for December.